Hello, so good to be with you again. Luke chapter 16, Jesus gives us a parable on how we can be faithful with the money that he has given to us. He gives us the parable of a rich man who had a manager, and that manager proved to be unfaithful, and he ended up getting fired. And he thought, I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm too proud to beg. While I can, what can I do so that the people after I'm fired will open up their homes to me? He calls one man in and says, how much do you owe the rich man? And he said, I owe him 100 measures of oil. And he said, okay, write 80, and that will be our agreement. He calls in another man, how much do you owe? 100 bushels of wheat. Okay, why don't you write a smaller number, and then we'll be able to have that be our agreement. And his hope was that these men would open up their homes to him. And then Jesus says this, the sons of this age are more shrewd in relation to their own kind than the sons of light. And I say to you, make friends for yourself by means of the wealth of unrighteousness, so that when it fails, they will receive you into eternal dwellings. Jesus is saying that unbelievers in this world who don't even trust the Lord, they'll use their money to build friendships. And Jesus says, hey, that's money that fails. And eventually there are friendships that will go away. But Jesus says there are some that will take the money that they have, and they'll realize that you can still be a blessing to others, and not to gain access to their homes in this life. But actually, the Lord is saying that when you invest in others and you make friends, that they will invite you into their eternal dwellings. Jesus is saying that a spirit of generosity on the other side in heaven will actually cause people to open up their eternal dwellings to you. That's a glimpse of heaven. That's so amazing. Then Jesus goes on to say this in verse 10 of Luke chapter 16. He who is faithful in a very little thing is faithful also in much. And he who is unrighteous in a very little thing is unrighteous also in much. Jesus says when you take what you have and you invest it in others, that God will allow you to have even more. Not just in this life, but even in the next life. He goes on to say this, if you have not been faithful in the use of that which is another's, who will give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth. Jesus is saying here is that what we have is not our own, and that we have been trusted with something that's not ours, and that's the wealth that we have in this life. All that we have belongs to the Lord. And it's saying here that if you are not faithful with what is not your own, when you get to heaven, when God is giving out things that will be our eternal dwelling, our eternal wealth, will we be trusted with much? And so he's helping us to understand here that when we invest our money in being a blessing to others, that God is saying, if you do that while it's just a stewardship, then I'm going to give you eternal blessings, things that will be yours forever and ever and ever. And your home in heaven will be great. We cannot serve God in mammon. We cannot serve God in wealth. We have to just say, Lord, right now, I'm your servant and everything I have is yours. Let me be a blessing to others, and let me be shrewd in my investing. Let me be generous to my fellow man. God bless you. Let that be your prayer.